I will ask crowds this: which do you think is more important? More positive thinking or less negative thinking? And I say, this is not a trick question. And I'll let them wrestle with that for a little bit. And for the group that we're talking to today, it's a very provocative question. Which is more important? Where do you get the most mileage? More positive thinking or less negative thinking? And the studies are unequivocal. It's less negative thinking. Now, the thing that gets us tangled up is that I guess pretty much all of us think of it as, okay, you've got this linear scale here, and we'll say at the high end, the good end is optimism, and at the low end is pessimism, negative thinking. Well, studies show that they're actually two different scales.
Really?
And this is just fascinating to me. Positive thinking is important. And keep it up, keep it high. But if you want to get your real knowledge, just cut down on the negative thinking. Cut it down, cut it down, cut it down. That's the villain voice. That's the critic in your head. That's the demotivator. That's the discounter. That's the one that raises the doubts. And you can shut it up. It takes practice. It takes some discipline. But people say, well, I think I'm aware of my negative thinking, but they're not. About 70% of our negative thinking goes unperceived by us. It is so embedded in our day-to-day behavior.
We're not even aware of it.
We're not even aware of it. About 70%. It is so much just ingrained in the way we go about living.
It's habitual thinking.
Yes, and so let me tell you how it shows up. I'll talk about the 5 C's. Okay? The sneak attack of the 5 C's. Okay, the first one is complaining. Grapping. It's too hot in Dallas. Well, it is, yeah. But that's not going to change if I gripe about it. Okay, so the first one is complaining. The next one's criticizing. Well, the grid went down today in Texas. We had brownouts. My air conditioners, and like there's always someone to criticize. So we've got complaining, we've got criticizing. Next one is concern. And I'm not talking about being empathic here and having concern for some other person. I'm talking about garden variety worrying. I'm concerned about this. Well, I'm concerned about inflation. Well, I'm concerned about, the news. All right. The next one is commiserating. We come in, and I sit down with this person, and they start their C's, their C talk.
They're complaining.
And I say, I get it, man. Yeah, I understand. I'm not doing anybody any good. When I start commiserating, I'm not doing anyone any good. It's destructive to both of us. And then the last one is catastrophizing, which is just when you're really down, you just blow things all out of proportion. But those things sneak in. If you start watching people, watching ourselves, how much we do this, and of course, we're surrounded by so much negativity. You go, you listen to the news, you get on social media, and on and on and on.
So we got to learn how to cut out the negative thinking versus adding more positive thinking. Because you can keep adding positive thinking, but if you've got dirty water in the water, it's still going to be dirty. So you got to remove the dirty, the challenging thoughts to have more pure energy, cleaner energy that can make you more effective, more efficient.
Beautiful, yeah. Now, here's what's interesting. So we're talking about making a quantum leap. We're talking about change. And really, if you said, what are you all about, Price? What, your life, where did you point yourself? Well, I just got caught up in positioning people to do more with themselves. There's so much out there, and people have so much potential to do things with themselves. Let's arm them. Let's position them to do what they can do with themselves.
you said there was two different scales. One is about optimism and pessimism, essentially, right? Is that what the two different sides of the spectrum? And you were saying that if we want to increase our confidence, if we want to increase our belief in self, one of the things that we can do is start removing pessimism, negative thoughts, negative thinking from our life. But a lot of people might say, well, Price, that's great and all, but that just sounds a little too woo-woo-y. That sounds a little too fluffy for me. Just be more positive, think more positively. Is that really going to help me create more quantum leaps? And shouldn't I have some, critical thinking and really, question and doubt things? Or is that just being, am I being too negative if I do that?
Okay. When someone decides they want to make a quantum leap, they're talking about major change. Now let's talk about what happens when change hits. In this case, self-imposed change. Now, I've seen this for decades in organizations where it's major change. You're being acquired. You're being merged. You're being downsized. You're being restructured. Okay? And so it's self-imposed when we're making a quantum leap. But the same dynamics come into play as when the world, our world, the company we work for or whatever, the organization that we're stuck in, all of a sudden takes a hard right turn. So here's what happens when change hits. The first scan is for danger. That's how we're wired.
Danger. Whenever there's change, it feels like there's danger.
Yeah. What could go wrong here? How could I get hurt in this deal? What's going to happen to me? And all of these me issues come into mind. So, who was it? John Dryden said, self-defense is nature's oldest law. And so our defense mechanisms come into play. But when change hits, whether it's imposed on us or self-imposed, the first thing that happens is, okay, things are changing and the future gets a little blurry. So we got a new dose of ambiguity and uncertainty, okay? And people vary greatly in their tolerance for ambiguity. The second thing that happens is the trust level drops in an organization. You're going to change yourself, make a quantum leap, the trust level in yourself drops too. The villain voice goes crazy with that. So we got the ambiguity and uncertainty, the drop in self-trust, and then self-preservation takes over as a driver of behavior.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want more inspiring clips like this, make sure to click right here to subscribe and click right here to watch that next video that is specific to support you in your life.